full disclosure, you already know how I feel about Kamala Harris and the Biden administration. I don't have anything favorable to say about their performance in the capacity as president and vice president. I've had grave concerns because Kamala Harris has tried to distance herself from the disastrous outcomes of the Biden administration as if she's not part of the administration. And so knowing that she was inserted as the nominee basically led me to believe that we would be getting more of the same, or we would be going more further left into debauchery and sex savagery and secularism in this country. So I don't believe the debate in and of itself had any major impact on individuals who were either undecided or who already just were like on the fence. But I do believe that that debate last night, it did expose the inherent bias of the media, particularly ABC, and the moderators toward Kamala Harris, which were, I'll say it just made it difficult for there to be a very fair and balanced debate. Information has now come out that the head of ABC is a very close personal friend of Kamala Harris. She is the individual who was responsible for introducing Kamala to her now husband, Dougie. And so when you kind of have that connection there, it gives you a little bit of more insight as to, oh, this is why the moderators continue to fact check Trump and they didn't do any fact checking on Kamala, but we just got more gaslighting and lies. They were not moderating this debate. They were attacking and at times even inserting their own opinion and rebuttals to the candidate Donald Trump. And so I was just like, this is not a fair fight. It is 3 against 1. And I was greatly bothered by that. We got a lot of gaslighting. And we did experience a lot of lies, like old lies that have been debunked. Also, at one point, the male moderator who got into the back and forth with Trump, instead of doing his job of remaining neutral and moderating the discourse, we didn't see any of that. What we saw was Kamala, in my opinion, and y'all know I use strong language from time to time, but we just saw an evil liar who, if elected, this country is done. She cannot protect this country from enemies, foreign or domestic. She has no economic sense. And she has demonstrated by her articulating the few policies that she wants to present to the American people, she's demonstrated that she is a communist. So in my opinion, I think there's going to be irreparable damage done if we have to withstand another 4 years of the Obama, Biden, Harris regime. We simply will not survive it. Later on in the show, I've got some information that I want to present to you guys to support the accusation that this country will be in a further and deeper decline if she were to win this election, and why I do not believe we won't survive and we'll be into full-blown communism. So, in particular, during the debate, Kamala Harris repeated a lot of the same lies that the leftist media has been repeating for years. And then she even repeated lies that the leftist media even had to admit that, okay, this was inaccurate. That is not what he said. This was misrepresented. This is what he actually said. And this woman, because she lacks a plan and a clear vision for America that's going to move this country forward in any positive direction, she just stood there and repeated the lie about Charlottesville. Like, everybody knows by now, and if you don't, I don't know where you've been under a rock, I'm not sure. She repeated the Charlottesville lie, when everybody knows that it has been debunked. The whole both people, good people on both sides. And we're sitting there looking like, are you really pulling this out the hat? This is the best you can do. And it concerned me. But what was also equally disappointing is that Donald Trump allowed himself to be baited into a discussion that lacks substance. instead of him spending time focusing on his record, focusing on what he's actually already accomplished and the skill set that he has to turn this country around in a positive direction, he spent more time trying to defend things that have already been debunked, which wasted a lot of time. And that was very disappointing to me. I remember before this debate, I heard Larry Elder say, "Do not underestimate her." And it's the fact that, okay, yes, she was a trial lawyer and a DA and a prosecutor. So she does have the sharpened skill of being able to kind of obfuscate things and bob and weave and avoid the actual question that was asked, and then to redirect and lead the conversation in a direction that she actually wants to go. And Donald Trump, her implementing that tactic exposed a vulnerability in him, not in his ability to lead the country, but in his ability to constantly have to defend things that he doesn't need to defend. He should have sharpened that skill to say, yes, she can bring up Charlottesville, which has already been debunked, but let's discuss your trash record and how when I come in, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and I've already done this, that, and the third. He needed to redirect that conversation away from the foolish lies and stop defending himself and just focus on his record. And as you guys know, I have a favorable opinion of President Trump as a leader and a businessman, but I've always stood on the fact that he is a poor communicator. And oftentimes his messaging does not land the way that it needs to land because most business people don't spend a whole lot of time defending themselves. They call the shots, they make decisions, they are action-oriented people, and they get stuff done. But we didn't get to see that in the debate, and that was one aspect that was kind of disappointing to me, I will say. Another lie that she continued to spend a lot of time on was she repeatedly lied and brought up Project 2025. And that was very frustrating because I'm sitting there and I'm like, why is this woman attempting to associate Donald Trump with the framework of Project 2025 that the Heritage Foundation has put out when it may be a little known fact to you guys, I don't know, but the Heritage Foundation is a think tank. They've been around for a very long time. Every election cycle, they formulate and come up and promote a framework with ideas that promote conservative values, that their goal is, yes, they do want to ultimately influence policy. But how many times do we have to say that Donald Trump has nothing to do with the policy platform? He has his own policy platform. He doesn't have anything to do with the Project 2025 framework. This is a nonprofit think tank, right? They just sit around and they devise ideas. And me personally, when I've gone through the main tenets of Project 2025, it's actually not all bad. However, I understand why Donald Trump is like, why do they keep associating me with this? I have my own project, my own plan that I've outlined for America. And what he should have done was he should have talked about his plan. But instead, she was allowed to lie, and the moderators did not fact check her and say, well, in fact, it's already been debunked. Project 2025 is not his. They allowed her to repeat it not once, but maybe 3 times. She may have brought it up. I think it was twice, but it might have been 3 times. That was concerning to me because I just don't have the tolerance for an abject liar who will sit there and things that we can readily go and check to see if it's true or not. It demonstrated to me that she does not care about the American people. She is playing on the ignorance of the vast majority of her constituents because she knows that they're not going to check. And it frustrated me to no end that I'm like, are we still talking about Project 2025? But this is a tactic of the left. They spend an incredible amount of time. They will lie and keep promoting the same lie, and they have the media on their side to continue to push that lie. And if you are not a thinking person or a discerning person to dig deeper to say, well, why do they keep bringing this up? Let me go and find out for myself what is true. You will believe it. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Standard of Truth podcast. If you've enjoyed today's conversation, don't forget to check out the Standard Home and Living lifestyle store at standardhomeandliving.com. We've got everything from book studies, journals, and even podcast merch, so you can take a piece of this conversation with you wherever you go. And of course, be sure to follow me on Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok for more updates, behind the scenes, and daily insights. You can also stay connected at thestandardofTruthPodcast.com, where you'll find all the latest news and events, including live events coming to a town near you. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Until next time, keep standing firm in the truth. Grace and peace.